To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
So my dear children, in the earlier chapter we discussed several things regarding the water management system, right? So these things were related to the agricultural environments, how to follow the green concept in the agricultural environments. So under that we discussed about the first and foremost one, how to manage the organic farming, and then after that we discussed how about the water management system. Now to within this chapter we'll be discussing about the land management. So management of use and development of the land resource is known as land management. So here we are going to manage the land, right, according to the green concept. Very simple. Land provides the environment for agriculture, but when using it, there may be favorable as well as unfavorable impacts on the environment. So land is going to provide an environment for the agriculture, but when using it, there may be favorable as well as unfavorable impact on the environment. So we use the land mainly for our agriculture, not only for agriculture, but there are other different purposes as well. But as we are focusing about the agriculture, so mainly we use the land for our agriculture. So when we are making or when we are preparing our lands for our agriculture, first and foremost thing is to prepare the soil. We're going to deforestation. We're going for the deforestation for sure. Because of that, what will happen, my dear children? The emission of carbon dioxide will get increased. Then environment pollution, right? Then harmful gases collected to the environment. Then drought seasons can come. So like that way there are serve conditions. So when using this land for our day-to-day purposes, right, there can be several complications that can occur. Right then, especially the misuse of land leads to collapse of natural equilibrium, including the increase in emission of greenhouse gases. The reason for this is that if maximum use is not made from the existing land, lands with forest have to be used for cultivations. So if we use the lands, right, not in a proper manner, I mean like if we can't utilize the land in order to obtain or in order to get maximum amount of crops or whatever the harvest, then what will happen? Then my dear children, we have to move on for other places like forests. So that will create deforestation for sure. So upon that, the emission of carbon dioxide and other harmful gases will increase. So therefore serve environmental conditions or serve environmental bad effects is going to occur because of those things. So it's very important to manage the land and get the maximum use from a particular land area. Next one given. This causes the deforestation, so the green cover is reduced. Therefore, land management should focus the green concept. So it's very important to follow the green concept when we are managing the lands, my dear children. Green concept in land management means here we are going to utilize the land up to its maximum potential. Okay, right then. So some steps taken in land management are given below. So what are the steps that we can follow in a proper land management? Let's see. Making a soil texture suitable for the agriculture. First and foremost thing to do is making a good soil texture suitable for the agriculture by using different kinds of fertilizers, right? Very less amount of chemicals and more amount of fertilizers, right? More amount of organic fertilizers. We can prepare a good soil system or else a good soil layer suitable for the agriculture. So this would enhance the fertility of the soil, and my dear children, what will happen? It would also create more amount of harvest. So creating more amount of harvest means we don't want to go for a different land area. We can do whatever the things or whatever we can prepare whatever thing we want within the respected land. Okay. Next one given. improving the soil structure so that water and air are retained well. So improving the soil structure so that water and air are retained well. So we are going to improve the soil structure, by digging and by, loosening the soil, we can create a good soil structure so that it could create, or so that it could retain more amount of air and water within the soil. Okay. Next one, making a good drainage system in the land. So making a good drainage system, as you can see within the figure also, you can observe that drainage systems within the land. So having a good drainage system is also a good land management concept. Next one, improving the quality of soil by applying fertilizers. We discussed that thing over the previous one, my dear children. It's important to apply good quality fertilizers. Okay. So I told you very less amount of inorganic ones and more amount of organic ones, right? Inorganic very less, organic more. So that's how we are going to apply fertilizers if you are going to carry out the process of cultivation for a longer time period. Otherwise, if you use too much of inorganic fertilizer or else chemical fertilizer, then what will happen? The soil will get used to it, and from day by day, from one time period to another time period, you have to add more and more chemicals to the soil. So that will harm the soil organisms and it will infertile the soil. So therefore, the harvest also is getting reduced. Okay. So remember, very much less amount of inorganic fertilizer, but more amount of organic. Okay. Right. Then the next one, cultivated better suited crops in respective places in the land. So when you take a certain land, we have to select the suitable crop that should be grown. Okay, we have to select a suitable crop. So for an example, in a land area, we won't be able to grow paddy. Paddy should be planted in a muddy place, muddy kind of a place, a wetland, in a wetland. So therefore, we won't be able to grow paddy in a such place. So in a dry area, like in a land, we can use, or we can grow other fruits and vegetables. Okay, so by that way, according to the land area, we have to choose the correct crop that should be grown. Okay, right then. So within the figure, you can observe a managed cultivated land, my dear children. See, it's very pleasant to observe this kind of land. It has a good maintenance. As you can see within the figure, it's showing a good nature, and it is well managed, my dear children. So these kinds of lands will definitely enhance the harvest. Okay, so by that way we can get more amount of harvest. So receiving more amount of harvest means the land management has succeeded. So therefore we won't be we will not be able to reach for any other different areas. So by that way, right, we can protect other vegetative areas, my dear children. Okay, right. So the deforestation is minimized if you manage the environment, or if you manage the agricultural lands very well. Right. So advantages that can be obtained by sustainable management of agricultural lands. So what are the advantages that we can take? Actually, when I was discussing about the previous slide, I have explained you some advantages that we can take by the successful management of land. However, within this one, furthermore details regarding that thing is given. Let's see what is the first and foremost advantage then. Improving the productivity. Very simple, my dear children. Like I said, when we are going to practice a good and a proper land management system, I told you that our productivity or the harvest is going to increase. So upon increase in the harvest, right, it will be an added advantage for us, right, an economical advantage, and as well as for our consumption as well, right. Next one, reducing the production risk. So production risk is getting reduced, right. So reducing the production risk. That means, my dear children, when more amount of these things are getting produced, the production risk is getting reduced. I mean, like, risk means here now let's take a certain paddy field or else a certain vegetable field. So there is a risk. What is that risk? That risk is, my dear children, sometimes different kinds of insects and other kinds of threats would come and the agricultural land will get destroyed. However, by the proper land management, we can minimize these threats up to a certain level. So by that way, we can reduce the production risk. Next one, improving the quality of natural resources, soil and water. So improving the quality of natural resources like soil and water. So by through the successful land management system, my dear children, we can increase the quality of soil and we can increase the quality of water which is flowing or wandering here and there within the agricultural land, right? So you know that we are going to provide a proper drainage system in the land management systems. So providing a proper drainage system, my dear children, definitely going to increase the use of water and the quality of water. Okay, right then. Next one, raising economic value. So this is very simple. Even we discussed this thing in the earlier one as well. It is going to raise the economic value. How it is going to raise the economic value? Because if the land is managed properly, right, upon having these advantages, what will happen? Our harvest is going to grow, right? And the harvest, quality of the harvest is also going to increase. Then not only the quality but the size and the quantity or the amount is also going to increase. So upon having these things, what will happen? We will be able to sell these things at a higher rate. So therefore, my dear children, what will happen? The income received by the farmers is also going to increase if they have prepared or if they have managed their land well, right? Then the next one, minimizing disasters. Like if a drought season would come, then the crops will going to die. But however, if you have prepared your land in order to have a good water system or else in order to have a good irrigation system, then my dear children, you can minimize the risk of getting disasters, right? These devastating disasters, the risk of getting devastated, right, can be minimized up to a certain level, right? These risks can be minimized up to a certain level. We can't avoid these conditions, but however, the risk of destroying the crops can be minimized up to a certain level by doing a proper land management system. Then the next one, minimizing effects to the environment. Then the other thing is that it is going to minimize the effect given to the environment, right? So like I said, my dear children, when the land is managed properly, we can get more amount of harvest, a good quality harvest, and also what will happen? The quantity of the harvest which can be received is also going to increase. So therefore, what will happen? These things will improve. These things will provide more economical benefits, and also having more economical benefits will going to reduce the cost of the plantation or whatever the agricultural land. So by that way, my dear children, like we can minimize the environmental effects. You know that minimizing the cost means, right, if the resources are being minimized, then we know that we can obtain more amount of benefits. Okay, so these are the benefits that we can obtain or the advantages that we can obtain from a proper management of lands, right? Okay then. So green concept centered cultivation methods used in land management for high productivity. So now we are going to discuss, my dear children, what are the concepts that follows the green concept, okay, or what are the methods of cultivation that follows the green concept, so that we can use in land management for the higher productivity. Okay, right. So the first and foremost method is given, mixed crop cultivation. Mixed crop cultivation. So name in the sense here, right, may name itself is going to give out a good idea about this method, my dear children. So here it is mentioning that mixed crop cultivation means that we are not going to plant one certain crop on the land, but we are going to plant several crops within the same land. Mixed crop cultivation. Okay, so cultivating one or more crops along with one main crop in a same plot of land is referred to as mixed crop cultivation. This yields many advantages. So upon having main, we are going to plant several other subsidies. Okay, for an example, my dear children, if you take a coconut plantation, large area of the coconut plantation is going to be empty. The ground layer is going to be empty. So with coconut plantation, my dear children, we can grow a side crop like pineapple. Okay, so by that way we can get coconuts, both coconuts and pineapple. Okay, so this is mixed crop cultivation, cultivating one or more, right, one or more side crops with the main crop. Okay, so since nutrients are absorbed in balance from the soil, the quality of the soil is conserved. Since nutrients are absorbed in balance from the soil, the quality of the soil is conserved. You know that when you take our soil contains different kinds of nutrients. So these different kinds of nutrients are being absorbed by several crops. So the balance of the soil is getting controlled. Next one. Since there are different types of crops, the growth of weed and damage caused by the insect and pests are minimized. Now there are different kinds of crops. So upon having different kinds of crops, what will happen, my dear children? The action of weeds and the other kinds of insects are also going to reduce. Okay. Next one. Crops withstand unfavorable climatic conditions and plant diseases are suppressed. So crops withstand unfavorable climatic conditions and plant diseases are suppressed. This is another advantage. Then the next one, increases the total yield. So you know that there are 2 or more plants over there. So all of these plants are going to provide us with the yield. So the harvest or the yield is going to double at this time, double or triple. According to the number of crops, it will increase. Next one, affords maximum benefits out of the limited resources. So you know that land is a very limited resource that we have. So my dear children, it's very important to take measures to get the maximum use of the land that we have. So by doing mixed crop cultivation, we can get the maximum use of the land. Okay, right. Then the second one, my dear children, the second method of green concept centered cultivation, right? Okay, so second method is crop rotation. Okay, crop rotation. In this method, several crops are grown in the same plot of land from season to season according to an order. Mostly in crop rotation, 4 crops, a cereal, a legume, a yam crop and a commercial vegetable crop are grown. Right. So this method, crop rotation, means, my dear children, from one particular season to another particular season, we are going to grow several crops from one turn to another, but in the same plot of land. See, here several crops are grown in the same plot of land from season to season according to an order. So mostly there are 4 crops that we used within the crop rotation method. So those things are a cereal, right, a cereal, then a leguminous plant, right, a legume, then a yam crop and a commercial vegetable. So these are the four main crops that we are going to grow when we are doing the crop rotation method, right. Then let's see what are the other contents. By growing different types of crops, nutrients in all the soil layers are exploited. So all the nutrients are getting exploited in the soil, right, or soil layer. Within the soil layers, you know that there are several nutrients, so all of these things are getting exploited, right. That is the first and foremost advantage. Next one given, different modes of land preparation improves the physical, chemical and biological features of the soil. So different modes of land preparations improves the physical, chemical and biological features of the land. Now we know that we are going to prepare the land according to different crops in different ways. So that means, my dear children, when preparing these land according to different ways to the particular crop that we are going to grow, what will happen? The physical and the biological features of the soil is also going to improve, right. These features are also going to improve, my dear children. So these are the benefits that we can obtain from crop rotation, okay, crop rotation. Now let's head on to see the third one, right, my dear children. So this is the third method, right. So third method is going to reflect about growing crops improved by biotechnology, right. So this is the third green concept centered cultivation method that we can use to get a higher productivity in the land management, my dear children. So here we are focusing about the biotechnology, right. Biotechnology means, especially this thing is referred as the genetical engineering method. So by using genetical engineering, my dear children, we can get or we can produce plants that can carry more harvest, or else some special kinds of plants that can provide special kinds of crops and special kinds of agricultural products. For an example, you know that each and every grapes, right, when you take grapes, a fruit, each and every grape contains some seeds. However, by using genetical engineering, my dear children, we can produce seedless grapes, okay. In the same way, when you take rice, rice is usually like having a cream color nature, okay, light color nature. But however, the rice which is given in this figure can be observed in yellow or golden color. This is called as golden rice. In Sinhala, we refer that thing as ransahal, right. So this is made by the genetical engineering process, okay. This is made by genetical engineering process, my dear children. There's a specialty among this golden rice. So we'll be discussing those things when we go ahead with the lesson part. So now let's see what is the specialty in here. When improving plants by biotechnology, their tolerance to drought and resistance to diseases and pest increases, while the nutritive value and the taste of the plant products also increase. So here, what will happen is, we are improving the plant. Genetically, we are improving it. By using different kinds of recombinant DNA particles, we're going to increase, right, the taste, the nutritive value and other factors like the appearance as well, okay. So when increasing these factors, definitely it will increase the harvest, then the productivity and as well as the yield, my dear children, okay. So examples given: developing high quality varieties of organisms through hybridization. So hybridization means, my dear children, hybrids, animal hybrids. Hybrids means, now let's take a cow that produces less amount of milk. So we can hybrid these cows by crossing that particular cow with a high productive, right, high productive or somewhat, like more stronger, with a more stronger ox. So by that way we can produce, okay, by that way we can produce, my dear children, a good variety of offsprings from that particular cow. The next offspring would be the next offspring which is coming from those that crossing is going to be very productive, my dear children. That cow is going to produce more amount of milk, right? Sometimes, my dear children, these sex cells or gamete cells are being stored within the within syringe and other types of vessels, right, which are carried by the doctors, right? So these doctors can implant these things within the wombs of animals to create a good new generation. Okay, so these enhanced new generations will produce more milk and as well as more flesh as well. Okay, right. Next one, developing maize plants resistant to a harmful weevil species. So my dear children, next one is developing maize plants resistant to a harmful weevil species. So not only the productivity, right, but also the resistance given to pest and other environmental conditions is also going to improve when you use biotechnology in plants. Okay, so not in plants, also in organisms. So when you use this biotechnology thing or genetical engineering, right, we can also give a particular resistance, or else we can grow resistive plants to different harsh environmental conditions and also for the insects as well. So here it is given, developing maize plants that resistant to a harmful weevil species, right? So these maize are resistant to that particular weevil. So it is being developed by using the biotechnology. Next one, producing varieties of rice which are resistant to pest. So like I said in the earlier case, my dear children, we can produce different kinds of plants and other crops which are resistant to different kinds of varieties of pest. By that way we can increase the yield of this thing. Okay, next one, producing a variety of run sahal contain vitamin A. Now this is that run sahal, my dear children. This is, in English we refer this thing as golden rice. So within golden rice, vitamin A is contained. We use a certain type of a bacterium, a DNA from a bacterium, and we insert that thing into rice or the paddy plant. Sometimes these things can also be obtained from carrot. You know that carrot is a good example for having vitamin A. So by using the carrot plant, we are going to receive the DNA or the gene which is responsible in production of vitamin A, and we are injecting that thing into the paddy plant. So what will happen when the paddy plant is going to grow and produce the harvest? It's going to produce, or within the harvest itself, vitamin E is getting generated, right? So that means, my dear children, what will happen? The particular rice will contain vitamin A. So that's why it is having this kind of a golden nature. Next one, making crop varieties which produce higher yield. So the next one is we can produce crop varieties that can produce more yield. So nowadays, my dear children, there is a kind of a banana plant which is going to grow like this much of a height. However, it is going to produce heavy amount of a banana bunch. Okay, so we have increased the productivity by using the biotechnology. Not only that, there are several coconut varieties of coconuts that can produce large amount of coconuts, but however their height is very less, right? So these things are the ones which can be used in biotechnology. So by using biotechnology also, we can develop different kinds of varieties that can meet our different kinds of requirements. Okay, right. So this is the final one, growing crops improved by biotechnology, right? Then so then the next one is given, post harvest technology. post-harvest technology. So what do you mean by this post-harvest technology? So my dear children, post-harvest technology means after the harvest, what are the kinds of things or measures that we can follow to conserve this harvest and to provide that harvest or to supply that harvest to all around our country or any other place for simply for the consumer. Okay, so it's very important to take this harvest in a very careful manner and distribute these harvests to the places or to the sellers or whatever the supermarkets or whatever the places, so that the consumers can consume these things without any trouble. Okay, so sometimes you might have seen that these things are being tied in tightly packed polythene bags and they're throwing these harvest here and there. So most of the harvest will get crushed because of the transportation issues and they will get destroyed. So it's going to be a huge waste. Okay. So post-harvest technology means here we are going to minimize the transportation issues and we are going to minimize the things or the complications that occur to the harvest during the transportation and packing and storing processes. And my dear children, by that way, we are going to enhance or we are going to increase the lifetime of the harvest that can be kept for. Okay, right then. So let's see what are the things given. Cleaning, classifying and packaging the harvest immediately after harvesting so that it is quality is preserved and it is known as post-harvest technology. So other than that, my dear children, okay, post-harvest technology means now you can, when you are observing a certain land, you can see that, or else we can observe, the farmers can observe that the harvest has grown very well. So in that case, he or she should not keep the harvest for a long time. Definitely the yield should be plucked out from the system. Okay, and it should be classified into groups. We should classify these things into groups, right? So this is the one which is referred as the post-harvest technology. Then by doing that, my dear children, we can improve the quality of the harvest and also the harvest can be preserved for a longer time period. The post-harvest process includes plucking the harvest, packing the harvest, transport and selling. So all of these things are included in post-harvest technology. Plucking the harvest well, okay, without damaging, we need to pluck these things out. Then packing it properly. Okay, like I said, it's not proper to tightly pack these things by using polythene or cardboard or any other, right? We have to pack it properly. Then my dear children, transport and also selling. So I discuss about the transport thing and the selling process also. So now in the selling process also we have to follow, like we know we don't need to destroy these things. We should have to be very careful when we are selling these things. Okay, so it's very important to sell these things hygienically to the consumer. Then the next one. In Sri Lanka, it can be seen that post-harvest technology operates at a very low level. It seems that in our country, people are little interested in plucking, packing and transporting harvest scientifically. So like I said, my dear children, in Sri Lanka, we pay, or the farmers are going to pay very less attention in this post-harvest technology, right? When you go for a fair, right? Or don't, it's better to go for a, it's better to go on a fair day, right? Day which the fair is going to hold, or else you can go day after it, or else 2 or 3 days after it. So when you go to that surrounding, definitely you can observe how much of a food is getting wasted over there. Heavy amount of food items, especially vegetables and other crops, are getting destroyed. It's mainly because of they do not follow proper post-harvest technology. Because of that, most of the things are getting wasted. So in Sri Lanka, my dear children, that is going to be a terrible case for us because farmers do not follow this post-harvest technology. So in that case, most of the things are getting destroyed, getting spoiled very quickly. Okay. Then the next thing given, therefore, a greater part of the harvest is disposed without consumption. So like I said, my dear children, as we do not follow proper harvest technology, proper post-harvest technology, what will happen? Most of the harvest that we are going to sell to the supermarkets or to the markets is going to be disposed without using. Okay, because these food items will not be kept for a longer time period as they have been crushed or other kinds of due to other kinds of issues. Okay, so this drops the income of the producer as well as the seller while increases the price of the products. Moreover, the opportunity to consume high quality food is reduced due to poor post-harvest technology. So I told you about the economical losses that we can come across with. But however, my dear children, there are other losses and other environmental effects as well. So one thing is what? One thing is, so it will drop the income of the producer as well as the seller. So when dropping the income, the producers will have to produce more and more. So it will use the land irregularly. That means environmental problems will occur. So the other case is it will increase the price of the products. So it will increase the price of the products because limited products are in the market right now. If 1,000 tomatoes were produced, then only like few hundreds is getting remained with the market. Others are getting removed without consumption because those things are crushed or by any other means those things are has become unusable or unconsumable, right? So if those things become unconsumable, then what will happen? Then my dear children, the remaining amount of fruits or whatever now we took the example as tomatoes, no? So the remaining tomatoes will be sold at a higher price. Okay, so that means the remaining amount is going to be sold at a very high price. So it is going to be a disadvantage for the people who are consuming those things. Then moreover, the opportunity to consume high quality food is reduced due to poor post harvest technology. The other thing is that if these things are if the quality of these things are reduced because of transportation issues or packing issues or plucking issues, then what will happen? Then my dear children, we will not be able to consume good quality product. Okay, that means the taste is going to reduce for sure. Sometimes my dear children, because of having different kinds of bacteria and other types of pathogens, right, our health will also drip down. Okay, so there are several issues that will come across if we don't follow a good or proper post harvest technology, right? Okay, then we came to the next one. So we discussed about the agricultural purposes or agricultural methods, my dear children. Mainly we focused about those things. So now my dear children, we are focusing about the industrial process. Okay, final topic of the lesson part. So my dear children, here it is given. The first and foremost thing, the use of chemical substances. So like I said in the earlier, we know that different industries, when they are producing different kinds of goods, they use different chemical substances. So usage of chemical substances is now usage of chemical substances have now become a simple kind of a process. Usually, like more often we use these chemicals to prepare our day-to-day needs. So here it is given, we have accustomed to use chemical substances for various needs of our day-to-day life. They can be indicated as follows. So we have accustomed. to use different chemical substances for our various needs, right? In our various products, in our various needs, right? We use these chemical products very often. So here are the areas which we use these chemical products more often. Number one, food additives, right? Food additives. So food additives, there are different kinds of food additives, right? So we discussed about the food additives in the earlier grade, my dear children, about the food preservation part, right? I think that you have a good idea about the food additives. You know that food additives are the ones which we add to the food in order to enhance the flavor, or in order to increase the lifespan of the food, and in order to enhance the color and other physical factors. Okay, so there are several food additives, right? And there are natural food additives and also chemical food additives. So we add these additives. Here we are focusing about mainly about artificial food additives, okay, like colorings, okay, thickness and so on, right? Then the cleaning agents like tile cleaners, right, toilet cleaners, then my dear children, wall cleaners, window cleaners, right? So those kind of substances can be considered as cleaning agents. Not only that, but shampoos, then soap, all of these things can be considered as cleaning agents. So you know that in each of these cases we use different kinds of chemicals for the production of these cleaning agents. Then the next one given, medicines. So different kinds of medicines that we use in our day-to-day life, even a Panadol, right, paracetamol. So that thing is also contains some kind of chemicals, paracetamols. So we use paracetamol as our main as our main painkiller, my dear children. Okay, so you know that if you are come across with a headache, right, or else if you feel fever, definitely you are going to use these paracetamol pills. So these medicines are mainly made from chemical substances. Next one, disinfectants, right? Disinfectants, that means the things or the chemicals which can destroy pathogenic microorganisms like bacteria and viruses. Okay, so disinfectants. Next one, cosmetics, different kinds of substances, or else different kinds of creams and shampoo and other kinds of substances that we apply on our face, on hair, on our skin in order to enhance the beauty. Okay, most of these cosmetic substances are made up with chemicals, right? Earlier times people have used several natural ones, but however now most of the cosmetic substances are synthetically, chemically made substances. Next one, paints, different kinds of paints, right? So different kinds of paints that we apply in houses and in our constructions, then sometimes in our fences and so on, we apply different kinds of paints. So these paints are also made up with different kinds of chemical substances and pigments. So these are the special kinds of substances, main substances that we use chemicals in our day-to-day life. So most of these chemicals are artificially synthesized substances. Once added to the environment, they retain for a long time in the same form. So this is very special, my dear children. It's because that when you take these substances, right, when you take these specially chemicals, these chemicals are long lasting. They have a very long lifespan. So when these things are added, right, to the environment, they're going to last for a very long time as in the same form. Okay, so this particle nature is not going to destroy for a longer time period, and it's not getting degraded. So that means, my dear children, it's going to harm the environment, not only for the environment but also for the organisms who are living in it. Okay, next one, This disturbs the environmental balance. Because of this, we need to minimize the use of these chemical substances as much as possible, or use natural substitute instead of them. Some measures that can be taken in this regard are as follows. So my dear children, the other issue is that I told you, when using these chemicals, what will happen? It will definitely unbalance, right? It will definitely unbalance our environment. It will create different kinds of complications within our environment. Okay, as these particles are not getting destroyed for a longer time period. Okay, so that means, my dear children, because of these complications, it's very important to reduce the consumption of these chemicals. Okay, it's very important to reduce these consumption of these chemicals. But however, we won't be able to reduce the consumption of these chemicals if there are no any substitutes. So there were substitutes during the ancient time. Ancient people used the same things, but my dear children, not artificially made ones, but natural ones. Okay, so there are several natural substitutes that we can use in each and every occasion, like as disinfectants, cosmetic items, and so on. Okay, however, my dear children, with our lifestyle, right, it's very easy to buy these things from our shops and market. So we won't go for those natural ones because these things are very easy to get. Okay, so that's the main reason. However, it's not suitable to do those kinds of things because it will mainly harm the environment, and also because of harming the environment, what will happen? The balance of the environment is going to reduce. Okay, the balance is going to reduce. The balance, if there is a certain, now there should be a certain balance in our environment, no, so that balance is not going to kept at the same level. So what will happen? These will create several serve conditions, right, several environmental problems. Okay, right then. So here you are given with several flows or several measures that we can use, right, in order to reduce this the consumption of chemical substances, okay, which we discussed in the each and every part in the earlier lesson part. Right. Avoid the consumption of flavored food as much as possible and use home prepared natural flavors such as spices instead of artificial flavors. Now this is very important. Most of the times we use different kinds of artificial made flavors. For an example, we can take MSG, monosodium glutamate. Okay, so it's a good flavor, right? So normally the junk food that we eat contain MSG. Junk food means those are the street food that we eat, like kottu and fried rice and so on. Okay, most of the times these food items contain this MSG. So it's an artificial flavor, right? It's an artificial flavor. That means it is an additive. So because of these additives, there can be severe health problems. And also, my dear children, the other thing is that by the consumption of these things, we will get used to that taste. So that means because of consuming that kind of food, we will not be able to consume natural foods. The natural taste will hate the natural taste upon that artificial one. So therefore, it's not a good thing. So what we have to do is, we have to minimize the use of those food as much as possible. So by that way, the natural foods will provide us a good health, and also the according to the green concept, you know that the resources which we are going to use, or the resources which the these products are going to use, is also going to reduce. So by that way, you know that we can avoid the emission of different kinds of gases and other effluents to the environment. Then the next one given, my dear children, let's see the next one. Use chemicals such as turmeric and asafoetida, which have been used by our ancestors to kill germs. So in the earlier times, my dear children, now most of the Tamil people still do these things, right? I think you have seen sometimes in movies or in any other teledramas like Hindi teledramas or else in Tamil teledramas in India. I think you have observed this thing. So those people who are getting up in the early morning, they're going to mix turmeric powder with water and going to drip these things everywhere, each and every place around the house. So there is a scientific explanation for this. It's because, my dear children, now throughout the night time, because of the temperature, because of the less temperature, and also because of the favorable conditions, right, more amount of microorganisms and other pathogenic organisms are going to collect here and there in the home garden or in our houses. Okay, so turmeric is a good pathogen killing substance. Okay, that means it is a good disinfectant, right? Turmeric is a good disinfectant. So those people, right, what they do is they're going to drop here and there, drop turmeric powder containing water here and there. So that will destroy most of the accumulated microorganisms around their houses. Okay, so it is used as a cleaning agent. So there is a scientific process in that incident as well. Okay, right. So we can use these chemicals like turmeric and asafoetida, which can be used to kill germs. Okay, our ancestors did use these things. Even for today, some people use these things to kill their germs. Okay, my dear children. So this is the second one. Number 3, using natural medicinal substances instead of mercury containing carcinogenic creams available in the market to brighten the skin. So, using natural medicinal substances instead of mercury containing carcinogenic creams available in the market to brighten the skin. So, you know that there are different kinds of cosmetics and other kinds of shampoo and creams available in the market, right? Ancient people, instead of shampoo, they use godapara. There is a plant called godapara. Those seeds were used as the shampoo, right? So it has a soapy nature, and also the nature of the godapara, and it contains several nutrients. So these nutrients are very helpful to maintain a good and a healthy hair. Ancient ladies, ancient people, they use these plants, seeds, right? So, but nowadays, my dear children, there are different kinds of shampoos which have been created by using different kinds of chemicals, right? So nowadays, my dear children, what will happen? Now, you know that there are dandruff, right? So most of the people, they have dandruff in their hair. So now the people are using and getting used to a certain shampoo. Now what will happen? If you are not going to buy that shampoo, then suddenly dandruff will come, not in the previous way, but in a very large extent. So like that way, there are several serve conditions. Because of these chemicals, these things are getting reduced. But however, if you stop it, then it's going to be a mess. Okay. So ancient people use different kinds of plant remedies for these things, plant substitutes for these things. The other thing is that we can apply Ayurvedic medicine and plant extracts like turmeric, sandalwood to make our faces beauty as skin creams, especially as skin creams. So most of the ladies right now are using different kinds of artificially made creams. These are carcinogenic. That means it can cause cancers, mainly because of the heavy metals that they are contained in. These things contain heavy metals, especially mercury. Especially these things contain mercury, my dear children. So mercury is a special kind of a metal that has a higher density. Like I said in the earlier case, when we are studying about the CKD, right, chronic kidney disease, I told you about the mercury. So it has a very high density. So mercury is being placed within these creams so that our face is getting brightened. Okay, face or the skin is getting brightened because of the mercury as a side effect. But however, my dear children, mercury has other serve conditions. Because of applying mercury particles, there are other serve conditions as well. One thing is mercury poisoning. Then because of mercury poisoning, what will happen? Our kidneys and organs will fail. So this will lead to several health complications within the body, all because of the beauty, right? So if you need to get beauty, now beauty is somewhat important for our human lives now. So best thing to do is, but we can use different kinds of natural extracts like the turmeric and sandalwood. So by that way, we can, we can avoid the complications which are getting created because of the heavy metals like mercury. Okay, those things are good substitute for the cosmetics as well. The thing is that those things are not somewhat easy to find. Okay, sometimes, my dear children, the turmeric powder that are available in the market, those turmeric powder may contain different kinds of other substances as well. Those things might not be 100% perfect or 100% pure mercury, 100% pure turmeric. Okay, so in that case, my dear children, we won't be able to buy turmeric from turmeric from shops or any other retail shops. So we won't be able to consume those things. Okay, best thing to do is get a turmeric from a plant itself. So that would be somewhat difficult, but however, it's a good healthy process. And also, my dear children, the other thing is that by demoting these products, okay, by demoting these products from the market, we can increase the environment friendliness. That means we can increase the health of the environment. We can work according to the green concept, and we can enhance the environment beauty, and as well as we can conserve the environment without providing any other gases or toxic substances to the environment. Okay, so this is the importance of making, or this is the importance of consuming natural flavors, natural cosmetics, and natural disinfectants upon artificial, my dear children. So artificial ones are somewhat causing different kinds of problems in different areas. So it's very important to use, at least to minimize the consumption of these chemical substances, and to be used with the natural substances. Okay, right then. So we have discussed several things related to the industrial process, my dear children. Under the industrial process, we discuss mainly about, within this chapter, we discuss mainly about the chemical substances, right? And we discuss several harmful things that can come across due to application of chemical substances, and what are the special kinds of products or special types of products which the chemicals are being used. And we discussed how to minimize the usage of these chemicals, right, by providing good natural substitutes. Right then. So in the next chapter, my dear children, we'll discuss the other things related to the lesson.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.